I want to talk with you a little bit today about bringing the joy back into our lives. It's been a tough year, some tough times, but the scriptures speak about being joyful Christians. I want to read for you from the Gospel of John, the 15th chapter, beginning with the 9th verse. And this is actually Jesus speaking. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you obey my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have obeyed my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this, so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete. I don't know if you've noticed, but many people aren't smiling these days. Or maybe it's because we have a mask on. Maybe people are smiling at us and we don't know. And yet Jesus wants us to smile. He wants us to be joyful people. In our scripture, Jesus said, "These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may remain in you, and that your joy may be full." If you were to take a closer look at some other passages in the New Testament with joy in mind, you'd find it everywhere you turn. Joy is the atmosphere in which the Christian is to live. Philippians 4:4 puts it this way: "Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice." And in 1 Thessalonians 5, it tells us to be joyful always. So we are to be joyful Christians. But do we always feel that way? Probably not. So many things take the joy out of life. Many people today complain about the stress in their life, the stress at work, or the stress at home because you're stuck at home with the pandemic. Stress can be caused by almost anything. Other people complain about money problems. The reality is, we've all been there. We never seem to have enough. There can also be people that deal with health issues. And let me tell you, the older you get, you're going to have some. We understand that one too. We all want to be healthy. We understand how sickness can affect our outlook on life and even the joy in our life. And yet the reality is that we choose how we're going to respond to life, even the difficulties of life. Let me tell you a story. There was a lady who asked her pastor to come over. And this lady had been sick for quite time, and sometime she was in bedfast. She knew her time on earth was short, and she asked the pastor to come over to help her get things ready. She'd been active in church all her life. She had a good relationship with the Lord. In fact, like many of you ladies, she probably worked in the church kitchen. When the pastor arrived, she told him she'd been planning for her funeral service. They talked about it for a while. And then as he was getting ready to go, she said, "Pastor, there's one more thing I want you to do." "What's that?" he asked. She said, "I want you to put a fork in my hand during the service." "A fork? What for?" he said. And she said, "Well, you know, at potluck dinners, we tell everyone to save their fork because the best is yet to come. You know, the dessert. And Pastor," she said, "I want you to remind them that all the best is yet to come." When we have a relationship with the Lord, the best is yet to come when we live with him in eternity. You see, God gives us the ability to choose how we're going to respond to the life that we're living. And he wants us to choose to be joyful and not to choose the negative. Well, what's the source of joy in your life? Well, the center of joy for the Christian is Christ. My joy, he says, is in you. The joy we have as Christians is Christ's joy in us. Well, what is the characteristics of joy? Well, Jesus wants our joy to be full, Peter called it joy unspeakable and full of glory. That's kind of like a song we sing too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a joy that's not incomplete. It's not imperfect. It's rich and it's full. Did you notice the continuity or the duration of joy? Jesus said, I have spoken these things to you that my joy may remain in you. Remain. It's there for all time. Now, have you ever noticed how here on earth joy can lead